So I was doing Trump with Jimmy Kimmel. You're a terrible person, Jimmy. Terrible, terrible. I have to tell you. 3:30 in the morning, and we would just do impressions to warm up. So I would do a little Trump and a little Austin Powers, baby. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Maybe a little Dr. Evil or Dr. Phil. What were you thinking? And I thought, can I give myself just 5 more yards? And I quickly made up a video, and I basically came out, well, I just took the test and it was incredibly negative. It was the most negative test in the history of test. It was so negative, it was positive. It actually was beating up the other test. It was so strong and so very, and here's this kid, this 5-year-old kid with a speech impediment who, when he did impressions, didn't have the speech impediment. And what I remember was I was just fearless. I just wanted to get in front of an audience, and they laughed.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's Guy Fieri, baby, love, peace, and taco grease, baby. I'm driving the bus to Flavor Town. You know that, man. So like Dr. Phil, he's a big guy, hey, what were you thinking? Okay. I want you to live your life as a gay man, real big, broad things. This is incredibly important. They're trying to steal your voice. They're trying to steal your image. They're making an artificial version of. When his back was not fully healed, he went back to, and he put food on the table. And I have to be grateful for that. I'm sorry he wasn't around to see all the press and all the interviews,
He passed.
Oh, he passed at 90.
Hi, guys. Welcome to Open Up. Today's guest is the one and only John Di Domenico. I'm sure you guys.
I like the way you say it because you're European. Most Americans just ruin my name.
How do they say it?
Delmonic, Di Domenico. Yeah, and I'm like, what are you're adding letters? How's that possible?
It's an Italian-American name.
It's an Italian-American name, and the D-I throws people off, and the D-O-M-E, they think I'm, I've never, I won the, Laugh Factory Award in Los Angeles. Yeah, I won a contest. And the guy, it's on video, the guy made my name 15 letters and he just destroyed it. And I was like, well, I won't be using that clip. John Di Domenico.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah, it was horrible. I was like,
yeah. Oh. You would think they should have probably read that.
Yeah, you would think they would have gone over that. But when you said it was so beautiful, it's like Di Domenico. It's so, and it means of Sunday morning. That's the family lore. The DI's of in Italian names.
Yeah, because Domenica is Sunday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where we're from in Italy.
It's from Abruzzo. That's why we're all kind of like little stocky little monsters.
I have family there in Abruzzo.
Oh, really? Yeah. My sister found the exact village and via something and Monteleone, and then my grandmother was a Capola.
Oh,
so yeah, they're a little different part of Italy. So
amazing.
Yeah.
You go there often, or?
I've only been there a couple of times.
Okay. You need to.
Yeah, but I'd love to go back, and I'd love to specifically go there because of social media. I've connected with a distant cousin who's John Di Domenico.
Also John.
Yes.
Giovanni.
Yeah, Giovanni Francisco Di Domenico.
Oh my God, I love it.
And it's so fascinating because of social media that you're actually connected to somebody you're related to, and he took a photo of Via Di Domenico in a village, and he was like, see, our name is everywhere. So I just thought that was fascinating.
You guys have a whole street?
Yeah.
It was probably the ancestors.
Well, supposedly the village that our family's from, like everybody's Di Domenico. It's very odd because it's not a very common Italian name.
No, it's not very common.
Yeah,
not even.
But there's a entertainment news reporter. I think her name is Victoria Di Domenico in Italia. So I found out about her, and I looked her up and reached out to her, and she got back to me. It was very nice. I would assume with a name like that, we're all distantly related.
Yeah. And you guys maybe come from some type of I don't know. Maybe royalty, maybe mafia, maybe something.
I think we're the worker bees. I think we're the people who do the labor.
Really? They named the whole street after that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
There's got to be something.
Yeah.
So let's introduce you to the audience. So our guest is an Emmy-nominated comedian, keynote speaker, and 5-time Best of Las Vegas winner, whose work has been featured on Conan O'Brien, The Howard Stern Show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, The Late Late Show with James Corden, and Fox's Let's Be Real.
Yeah, it was a series that ran for one season.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it would have been cool if it ran for more than one season.
It would have been a lot cooler.
I would have made more money.
True. But hey, you made it.
Oh, no, it's great. Shot in LA. It was awesome.
Yeah. What about this Jimmy Kimmel live show?
I've done the Jimmy Kimmel show a number of times. I supplied the voice of Trump.
Okay.
And then I made an appearance on the show, but as a puppet of Trump. So I was doing Trump with Jimmy Kimmel. You're a terrible person, Jimmy. Terrible, terrible. I have to tell you. So I did a puppet on the show. So it was a lot of fun. And that show, the TV show, that Fox show, Let's Be Real, we cross-purposed that appearance. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun.
Very interesting. And the Howard Stern guy?
Howard Stern I did for 3 years, and I did it remotely from here in Las Vegas. So I'd get up at 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, gosh.
I would literally throw down a pot of coffee just so I could wake up. We'd log in at 3 a.m. I'd join my team. I had a team of writers and everything. We'd rehearse the bit.
Oh.
Then I'd go into another room, which was like a green room of all the voice people who were on the show. There were so many talented people. One specifically was Michael, and he did like 5 voices on the show. Captain Kirk and George Takei and Arnold Schwarzenegger. He did all these different voices. So then we would get in this room at like 3:30 in the morning, and we would just do impressions to warm up. So I would do a little Trump and a little Austin Powers, baby. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Maybe a little Dr. Evil or Dr. Phil. What were you thinking? Since I'm a voice person, you want to warm up your vocal cords and have them ready. And anytime I appear anywhere, I always go through my list of tongue twisters and then do some other tongue warm-ups, because that was my issue with my speech impediment as a child. My tongue was in the way and everything was a little too big in my mouth. So I do all these exercises, and that way I know I'm mentally prepared to speak, especially with Howard, because everything was like rapid fire.
Yeah.
And then they would basically tell me, my producing team would tell me, okay, you'll be on the top of the show in the first hour, or you're going to be in the second hour, and wait for Howard to knock on the door, because he always would cue me up. Oh, now we've got President Trump is here, and be a knock at the door, and the door would open, and then, hello, Howard, so great to be here. I have to, hello, Robin. Wow, you look incredible, Robin. I have to tell you, really attractive. You've been very mean to me lately. Very mean. Then we go into the scripted element, and then if we got through the scripted part, they would let me improvise.
Dang.
Yeah. So I did that for 3 years. I made 50 appearances on the show.
Oh my gosh. So 50 appearances on the Howard Stern Show. How many on the Conan O'Brien?
Conan was 50. I was over 5 years.
Wow.
And Howard was over 3 years. And how I got on Howard Stern was one of my videos went viral.
One of the Trump ones?
Yeah. And I know this show is about entrepreneurs and success and these things that happen to us. I have to tell you something. There was a woman doing videos called Sarah Cooper, and she would just lip sync clips of Trump, and she was getting all this press, and it was making me angry. I'd gotten a lot of press. I have no complaints. But I was like, why is she? All she's doing is lip syncing. And she's very talented. I don't want to take anything away from her. But I was wrapping up, this was during COVID. And every day I was in Trump. Every day, because I was just putting out content and Instagram stories and long form content and stuff on TikTok. We did short form, long form, stuff that had no dialogue. And I was literally in the studio turning out all the lights. And I thought about this story about giving. I heard this guy speak and he gave this great story. I know you're European, but American football, 5 yards.
Mm.
And he said this was a big college game, and at the end of the game, this team lost. And when they ran all the numbers, they lost by only 5 yards. 5 yards. That was it, 5 yards. So the coach said to the next, at their next game, "Can you just give me 5 more yards?" And I converted that into, can you give yourself 5 more minutes? Or can you do 5, can you write 5 more emails? Or can you do just, and I was shutting off the lights and I thought about Sarah Cooper, who was getting all this press. And I thought, can I give myself just 5 more yards? And I quickly made up a video. I improvised a video about Trump getting the COVID test, because I just watched him. And I basically came out, well, I just took the test and it was incredibly negative. It was the most negative test in the history of test. It was so negative, it was positive. It actually was beating up the other test. It was so strong and so virile. And I did like a 4 or 5 minute video, and I did a quick edit and I put it up. And that I had dinner and, with my wife, and went to bed. And I'm laying in bed and I'm hearing my phone, which I keep in the bathroom, just going
Crazy.
going off. And it is going off early. I mean, like, it's going off at like 4 a.m. And I'm thinking, did somebody die? And I'm like, and I pick it up, and I usually get up at 5 anyway, but I pick it up, and my brother is like, Howard Stern's talking about you, and all the guys I went to high school with and college with and my comedy with, Howard's talking about you. Howard's talking about me. Like, what is he saying? What is Howard saying? And he was like, you're a genius. He's saying you were amazing. And I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, and then I grabbed the, YouTube, and the video had like taken off, and they played it on the show. And I had been for years wanting to be on the show, doing anything. I didn't really care. And I was walking around my house going, oh my God, Howard's talking about me. How do I leverage this? How do I leverage this? Oh my, what do I do? And I'm thinking of everyone in New York that I can possibly reach out to. And I remembered that Don Buchwald agency were my agents for animation. That's Howard's agent, Don Buchwald. And I had a really good relationship with the vice president, who actually ran the agency, and her name was Robin Steyer. And I called Robin up and I said, Robin, I'm not asking for a favor, but can you please tell Don that the guy Howard was talking about today is represented by him, by his agency? And I got an email later in the day, and he said, hey, John, nice to meet you. He goes, I will mention it to Howard. I make no guarantees. I will just let them know I handle, the agency handles you. I got a call within 2 days, an email within 2 days, and then I was on the show within 2 weeks. And that was amazing.
Your career took off.
Yeah. Well, it had already taken off because I was one of the few people doing Trump in 2015 when Trump announced. I'd started doing him in 2004. I met him in 1990.
You met him?
Yeah, I met him. I was doing a show at Trump Plaza.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I met him then. And if you go to my website and look at all the characters I impersonate, not just do impressions of, but impersonate, they're all over the top. Big characters.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's Guy Fieri, baby, love, peace, and taco grease, baby. I'm driving the bus to Flavor Town. You know that, man. They're all big characters, and I've always been attracted.
You're spot on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Gosh.
So I've always been attracted to like big, not just the voices, but like big characters, because I have to play them. So I want things that I can really, like Dr. Phil, he's a big guy, hey, what were you thinking? Okay. I want you to live your life as a gay man, real big, broad things. So, so that's how I got, in a great position, because when Trump announced in 2015, if you went online, I'd already played him on TV. Other than Daryl Hammond, I was the only other person doing Trump on television.
Really?
And when he announced in 2015,
presidency,
everybody found me first because I had the longest tail. If you did a search, it was me. And by coincidence, just by unbelievable coincidence, a guy I used to do theater with and stand up in New York, Tom Shalhoub, who was at Fox, he'd just taken over Red Eye, which was a late night talk show on Fox. And he said, "You want to be my Trump?" And I was like, hell yeah. And I did about 4 or 5 appearances on that. And one of the Conan writers saw me, and that's how I ended up on Conan. So all these things kind of like
interesting.
build
How it's
out.
kind of like a ball roll just coming down.
Yeah.
Well, why are you doing like what? Why Trump? Is that besides the fact that he's big character and all that? Do you hate him? Love him?
No, you know what it was? Going back in 2004, it really didn't matter. I was always looking for, my whole work. I was an actor, comedian, but I discovered the corporate world really early on. And when I was adopting characters, like all the characters I mentioned, I always looked for scalable characters. So with Trump, once he said, then I couldn't, I really wasn't much I could do in the corporate world before that. But when The Apprentice came on and it kind of really took off, I thought, oh, I got to do this guy. I have to do this guy because I can do roasts, because I was already doing roasts as my other characters. So you do a big meeting on the closing night at a dinner, you come in and I would be Columbo. Do you remember Columbo by any chance? It was an American TV character.
I think so.
Yeah, he had won. Basically, Columbo was like, folks, I hate
oh my God.
I'm a little confused. And I would come in and roast all the people. Or I would do this Austin Powers, baby, yeah. The Queen wanted me to investigate you, baby. So, and then I would
You morph into these characters. You don't
I have
just
a very
like
rubbery face.
You literally, it's a whole mask.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm blown away. What the hell? I felt like I just had all these different people.
Yeah, that's why that's why, as opposed to impressions, I like to do the full on thing, because I can kind of really craft my face to look like all these different people. Even with Trump, because it's like, well, I have to tell you. Yeah, the gritting of the teeth and the over enunciation, which goes to my speech impediment and the way he speaks. It all kind of ties together. But the reason I chose him was I was like, oh, I can do a lot with this guy. I can do a scalable version of The Apprentice up to 200 people. So I figured out how to do the game with 200 people. Then I started doing the roasts as Trump, which were like the easiest thing in the world. Then I was doing like a game show version, like a truncated game show version. So I always, any of the characters I look at, like, what can they expand into different areas in a corporate event? And one of the things, one time when I was doing a bunch of national sales meetings, once I had really developed a Trump character, he would come in and do the financials, because any of these meetings always have a financial breakdown of their sales goals and what's in the pipeline. And I would do that as Trump.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that was a fun thing. So any of I used to do Larry King, and the way we would pitch Larry King was that a lot of CEOs didn't want to be on stage, so I would do a Larry King interview coming to you live, Larry King live on CNN right here, and I'd have the big shoulder pads and the glasses. We've got CEO Catalina McGee. By the way, our sponsors tonight are Garlic, it's unique. Back to you.
You're amazing. Wow. Whoa. I'm literally having a guest that is giving me free shows, you guys. How amazing.
Yeah.
I am blown away.
Yeah. So it wasn't, I thought he was a fascinating character, to answer the initial question. I just thought he was a fascinating guy, and I saw there was a lot that I could do with him early on.
Do any of these MAGA people, do they, those big Trumpers, do they hate you for it?
Most of them, some of them, I've gotten death threats and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't happen a lot. I think people kind of get what I'm doing. Every now and then, someone will take one of my YouTube videos and put it into a MAGA group, and then I'll get a lot of, kind of mean comments, but it is what it is. I'm not worried about it. So
They mostly, for the most part, they separate the artists from.
yeah, for the most part.
Okay.
I've had, one of the biggest compliments and I try, I'm not a political person, but when I get a comment from, hey, I love Donald Trump and this is hilarious, or I've been MAGA from the beginning and I really find this video funny.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's the best.
So they're
case scenario.
they're getting the humor of it.
Because it's a skill to analyze somebody that much, to impersonate them. You have to really,
Oh yeah, I've spent a lot of time.
You can't hate somebody that you're analyzing that
so
much.
much time. And and I said during COVID, I was literally in his head every day for 2 years.
Dang.
And I was following all the political, and I say I'm not a political person, but I find politics fascinating, and I did spend 1 year as an intern for a U.S. senator.
Oh,
so
could you say which one? Or you?
Oh yeah, it was Arlen Specter. He's passed. I'm originally from the Philadelphia area, and he was a United States senator for the state of Pennsylvania. So I worked in his office for a year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that why you decided you don't care for politics?
Not that I don't care.
Afterward?
For me, when I say I'm not a political person, if you look at my stuff, you go, what the hell is he talking about? What I mean is externally, like my politics or my business. And it to the point where, when I was growing up and all these comedians that I absolutely love, doesn't matter if it's Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton or Harold Lloyd or any of the ones from the 50s and 60s, or you didn't know their politics.
True.
Now, when someone knows your politics, they make a judgment about you. It doesn't matter if it's a musical artist or a comedian. It's like, oh, that guy's MAGA. I'll never listen to him again. Oh, Bruce Springsteen loves Obama. I'll never listen to him again. Like, I'm like, if someone's talented. But to discount someone because of their political views, I just find this amazing. We're living in a very strange time, and the artists who appear at Trump events who basically have to drop out. I'm like, no, we are performers. We need a stage. It can't be one of these situations where because they're performing for Trump, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or they're performing for Obama. And I see it on both sides, and it's a sad situation.
It is. Yeah, it's very difficult for a performance now because you have to
be so careful.
Yeah, very careful. What you say, where you say it, where you perform, what
right? Because you say it in one venue, then that half the country doesn't want to see you perform.
Dang.
Yeah,
that's
so
just wild. Well, back to my
please.
because there's so much. Oh my gosh, so much about you. So you've written and executive produced your own Amazon Prime comedy special.
Yeah. And that was a Trump. That was a Trump thing.
That was the Trump one.
Yeah, it was the day of the opening of the Trump Library, and Trump isn't getting enough press, so he fakes a stroke. So it's that entire day. You see the entire day of the opening of the library. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe that might have helped him get some votes, maybe?
I just thought it was funny, like when he finally announced he's gonna have a library. I just thought it was hilarious. I was like, I was right.
Oh, that was in 20. Oh, okay, that wasn't in 2020.
No, it was way ahead. Yeah, it was just recently he announced it. It's going to be in Miami. It's going to be 50 stories. It's going to have a hotel in it. It's going to have, and I basically said I predicted it would be a hotel, and mine had a casino in it. There's only one book, his book, Art of the Deal. So we had a lot of fun.
Oh, I got to watch it.
Yeah.
Then you've also been in Los Angeles Magazine. You've been interviewed by New York Times, featured in the Washington Post. And your voice has reached millions through television and radio around the world. But behind the success is a story few people know. A childhood speech impediment that forced him to master communication long before he ever stepped on stage.
Yeah.
We're going to dig into that.
Yeah.
Today, he helps audiences understand that your voice isn't just how you speak.
No.
It's how people decide whether to trust, follow, and remember you. So in his keynote, The Winning Voice, John teaches that how you say something often matters more than what you say. Helping leaders communicate with confidence, authority, and authenticity. Behind the impressions and laughter is a story about identity, resilience, and learning to own the very thing that once made him want to stay silent.
That's beautiful. You're making me well up. You're making me like well up. When I hear it read like that, it always, it always affects me because I lived it and I can relive all those moments. And
That's amazing.
yeah, and have the speech impediment and
The speech. How does that like? How did you feel having that?
Well, you don't know you have
it.
You know what I mean? You don't know you have it other than you getting teased, but everybody's getting teased back then. But even my own family would say, you sound like Elmer Fudd, which was a cartoon character. Do you know Elmer Fudd? So Elmer Fudd, basically, Elmer Fudd did talk like that because my tongue went too big for my mouth and my adenoids and everything. And I didn't know how to, nothing was firing properly. But when I was 5, so this is like 1968, 1969. I remember watching the Ed Sullivan Show, which was a huge show at that time. Like more than half the country watched it every Sunday night. And I loved the comedians. And John Biner, in fact, a lot of comedians would come on and do an impression of Ed Sullivan. So John Biner is who I first was amazed by. So Ed Sullivan would introduce John Biner. Now here at our show, the great impressionist, John Biner. And then John Biner would come out and go, thank you, Ed. It's great to be on your show. And Ed Sullivan would get so aggravated. But as a kid, I was like, wait a minute, like Ed Sullivan, he's doing how's he? And I was fascinated by the fact that people could do other people's voices. It could be Ed Sullivan. It could be, Kirk Douglas. It could be Burt Lancaster. It could be James Cagney. It could all these, that's who these people did these impressions of. But when I saw John Biner do that, I took it upon myself to learn how to do Ed Sullivan. So him at 5 years old.
So it's your first one.
My first one, Ed Sullivan.
Oh.
And I grew up in a row home neighborhood, and all the neighbors would kind of hang out in front of one house.
Oh, nice.
On the steps, and it's the late 60s. Everyone's smoking and drinking, especially the pregnant moms, and
especially the pregnant moms.
And,
Philadelphia?
Yeah, Philadelphia. And if you ever saw any of the Rocky movies, you know what I'm talking about. These are row homes. And so I would walk up, and this was a time when kids were seen and not heard. This was that era. But I would walk up to them and stand on the sidewalk, and they would all just look at me, and they knew I was a ham, but I would go, and now on our show, the fabulous Topo Gigio and Girl Scout Troop 625 from Brooklyn, girls, stand up and show us your cookies. And they would laugh. And here's this kid, this 5-year-old kid with a speech impediment, who, when he did impressions, didn't have the speech impediment. And what I remember was I was just fearless. I just wanted to get in front of an audience. And they laughed.
You wanted to?
Oh, I wanted it so bad. And them laughing was such an affirmation to me, because as a kid with a speech impediment, they were listening, B, they were laughing, and C, they were paying attention to me. I had a very rough childhood, very abusive, physically and emotionally abusive father. So them paying attention to me just meant everything. But them laughing, that was it. That once I got that, I say, when you have an audience laugh, it's like heroin. It is that goes directly into your veins. And once you have that comedy, I call it the virus, because you can never get rid of the comedy and performing virus. It's like it'll go dormant for a little while, and then it's like, I gotta get on stage. I have to be on set. I have to be in front of people. I have to be like making people laugh or making people listen or something.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but when I went into first grade, immediately they knew there was something wrong in
They
my school
knew?
system. They knew. They could just tell by the way I talked and how much trouble I had speaking. But so I was diagnosed and I did the next 8 years in speech therapy.
Oh, wow.
And I went 2 times a week. The hardest part for me was not having the speech impediment. It was them coming into class 2 days a week and taking you out of class. That was embarrassing.
Oh,
I didn't mind failing on stage even as a kid, but there's something when someone comes to get you and you're pulled out of
when everybody watches you.
everyone watches you. You know, you're special, but in the wrong way. But those speech pathologists and those speech therapists helped me so much. And they didn't know it, but they were teaching me how to do more impressions because I was learning about throat placement. I was learning about nasal placement. I was learning about jaw placement, tongue placement, speaking through the vocal mask, proper speech that your voice should hit here when you speak, that this is a cone and the sound should be right there. So you're adding a little bit of pressure, not too much, pushing your voice out through your soft palate, through your hard palate, obviously through your mouth, but even through the chin bone, the sound is coming out that way. And it was so helpful as an actor, as an impressionist, as a performer, and as someone who wants to be heard and want to communicate clearly and concisely, and not trip up on words.
Wow. Do you think actors and performers need to get training?
Oh, yeah.
That
I
type
mean,
of-
I talk about this all the time, but British actors, English actors go through this amazing end-to-end training program.
Okay.
And some of our really good schools, like I forget the specific schools that do it. Like
Juilliard,
Juilliard, absolutely. In
Yeah.
fact, there's a great book by one of the teachers there that I use called The Power of Voice, which is a fantastic book. Juilliard is definitely one of those. I think it's Northwestern, has an amazing acting program. Carnegie Mellon, and there's just a few. But British actors who approach acting differently, they all go through this
Interesting.
vocal process. They all go through it. And their instrument is so much clearer. And this is why British actors can do American accents so incredibly well. And a lot of Australian actors too. And I mentioned specifically about Australian actors. When our voices as Americans, we have it's resonating from a very specific place when we speak. But if you listen to Australian actors, when they're not doing an American accent, a lot of the actors like Russell Crowe, Guy Pearce, and Hugh Jackman, they're all very chesty when they speak. They all speak from like this, from here. They're very powerful guys with their voice. And then when they do an American accent, it sounds like this. And it totally takes out the depth and the warmth and the power. But Guy Pearce, if you watch Hollywood Confidential, Hollywood Confidential, LA Confidential, he's playing this American guy and he's nailed the voice. He's nailed the American accent. I mean, nailed it. But when you watch the making of featurettes, well, what I was basically doing was I was trying to do this scene with Russell and I had to do this. And you're like, holy cow. It is such a cultural difference how they speak, And if you go back and watch that film as someone who does voices and impressions, Russell Crowe cannot hold the American accent. It slips a lot during the, oh yeah. A lot. And I love that. I love that. So
the American accent is more hunchback?
No, the American accent it's all different. But specifically, like, I'm from the Northeast. So I'm anywhere from about South Jersey up through Philadelphia, North Jersey, New York specifically, and all the way up to Boston, we have a very specific nasality. So if you listen to someone like Joe Pesci, hey, you know what I mean? I can't, am I allowed to curse? How he does that whole scene. And do I fucking amuse you? Huh? Am I fucking clown to you? That is this. That is what Brooklyn, Staten Island, the Bronx, Queens, Manhattan, that is and North Jersey, a lot of North Jersey. They're basically going through here. That is that New York accent here all the time. Basically, they're not breathing, so it goes through the top of the nose. Philadelphia, we have the same nasality, but it's not as intense. Boston, that whole accent you hear from when they do the Boston movies, same thing, not as intense. It is a very specific regionalism.
What about, can you give me a Matt Damon impersonation?
I was thinking of, how you like them apples. When he does that, that whole Harvard Yard kind of thing, because they extend the vowels at the end of words and consonants. So it's all those things you have to learn as an actor and as an impressionist if you want to get it right. But I do Jay Leno, and Jay Leno has an impediment because he has a lisp. When he speaks, hey guys, doing good to see you. Welcome to the show. And he's also from Boston. So when I do the impression, I got to make sure there's a little Boston in there. Yeah, good to see you. And he goes really high and then he goes really low, So,
oh my God.
So I'm always dissecting. I like to, dissect voices. And what got me into speaking about voices was the fact that about 10, 11 years ago, I'm a voice guy. I'm like, oh, I know what I'm doing. But I found out actually, I don't know what I'm doing because about 10, 12 years ago, I was noticing something weird happen. I would be at a hotel because I'm always on the road, and I'd pick it up and I'd say, hey, can I get a wake up call, or where's the gym? And they say, well, Mrs. Di Domenico, it's on the 5th floor, or absolutely, Mrs. Di. And I'm like, do I sound like a woman? I'm an impression. Do I not? And I realized my normal speaking voice was very high pitched.
So they thought you were an older lady, probably.
Yeah. and the funny thing was, I was like, how did this escape me? How? And I was like, this is the cobbler's shoes. This is the thing that you do all the time. You miss on yourself. Wow. So I took, I went back and did some research. I'd also done accent reduction. I'd done 2 rounds of accent reduction with a vocal coach to get rid of my Philadelphia accent.
Dang.
And, but then I went back and I coached myself on lowering my voice a full octave. So I took my voice down a full octave. So I never had that issue again. But that made me think, how did this get by me? So I started doing the research, and the research is very clear and very easy. The human head, which is bone and tissue, makes your voice to yourself sound almost a full octave lower. It also makes it sound richer and fuller than it really is. And that's when I speak, one of the first questions I ask of an audience when I do my keynote is, who here has heard their voice recorded? And everyone's like, of course, everyone has. And it's, who here hates their voice?
Yeah.
Everybody. Because the way you think you sound and the way you actually sound are 2 different things. Your brain dampens your voice. It's called auditory attenuation. So your own voice is tamped down so it doesn't bother you when you speak. When I'm having a conversation with you or somebody, I'm processing every word that you say. But if you had to process every word that you said yourself, you'd be exhausted.
Yeah.
So your brain basically tamps your own voice down, and your head makes your voice sound different to you than it goes out to the world. And then my question to my audience is, if you can't hear yourself, how can you possibly use your voice to its fullest capacity to its fullest capabilities when you think it sounds one way, but it's actually over here somewhere. And I want to bridge that delta. I want to close that gap. And that's what I speak about,
Oof.
because the average person is only using 38% of their vocal range and capacity. So you're handicapped right out of the gate. You can't hear yourself, your brain is dampening it, and you're only using 38% of it. But if you only use 38% of your body, you'd be laying on the floor right now. But your voice is so important. It's your identity. You know, when you walk in a
Yeah,
room,
that
it is. You walk in a room, that's the first impression, your appearance. But your voice,
It's holding you in that room. It's what
yeah,
keeps you in there.
that is the lasting impression. How you present yourself is first impression, but your voice, that is the lasting impression. And if you are not using your voice to its fullest capabilities, you're leaving money on the table. And that could be, and I'm talking as an entrepreneur, I'm talking in every conceivable way, to your children, to your spouse, to your boss, to your employees. There's a great book by Chris Voss called Never Split the Difference, negotiation book. In that book, I was so happy. First of all, I was happy I read it because it's a great book. But he even says he got vocal training because he's negotiating with terrorists. He's negotiating with hostage, kidnappers and all this stuff. He wanted to make sure he was so precise in the usage of his voice that there couldn't be any misinterpretation of what he was saying. Command and control. Command and control of your voice. And, in a given day, the research says we're on autopilot like most of the time, normal tasks that we do. What do we do the most? Talk.
Yeah.
So that means in a given day, most of your communication, 40% of it is autopilot. And then take that and the fact that your voice locks in at 25 years old. So the voice you're using now is the same voice you locked in at 25 years old. And I always ask my audience, have you gone through anything since you've been 25? Have you been through a marriage, a divorce, a success, a loss? You think your voice hasn't changed?
25. Why 25?
It happens between 21 and 25. Your voice kind of locks in. Your personality locks in first, and then your voice locks in around pretty much you're done by 25 years old.
Dang.
So you have this voice that you can't hear.
It's crazy.
And you think you're going on stage, you're going on a podcast, or you're going into a small group to train 5 sales reps, and you think your voice sounds one way, and you don't know why you're not closing the sales, or you're not getting anywhere in your relationships, or whatever it is. That could be your voice. Because here's this thing you're communicating with every single day. And if you don't have command and control of it, you're just kind of hit or miss.
Interesting. And a coach can actually help me close deals by fixing the voice?
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to have complete control of your instrument.
Oh.
I can tell by the way you're sitting, you're very aware of your body. And we are, as humans, we're extremely aware of our bodies. We look at ourselves anywhere from 12 to 50 times a day in a reflective surface, a mirror, your phone, passing a window on the street. Can you imagine if you listen to yourself just 10 times a day? I'm on the low end of you looking at yourself. People are always like, how's my hair? How are my glasses? Does this suit me? Does this jacket all right? But can you imagine taking that same intensity and thinking about your voice? Is my voice where it needs to be? Am I communicating? Am I being warm? Am I being aggressive? Am I being all those different things? Because everyone's doing these, it's like when you talk to a baby, you go, oh, hello, little baby. Hello, how are you? you're activating this different part of your brain. You are out of autopilot to do that. You've got to step out of it. There's voluntary speech and there's involuntary speech. So voluntary speech is what we're doing all day long. That involuntary, that's when you're going to activate your brain. And that's what I do when I do an impression. I have to, with Trump, I've got to take my voice down. I got to make it gravelly. I've got to make sure the nasality's there. I got to make sure there's a little bit of New York there when I speak because he's from Queens. And then I have to make sure I'm over enunciating, which he does. He over enunciates and he drops off. So when I'm doing that, I am really conscious of what I'm doing, all of the mechanics of the voice, which I learned in speech therapy, and the face and all those things, and making sure I'm doing all those things right to create that sound. So what I'm saying is, and I'm not saying everyone has to become an impressionist, but you are already, because we're all doing impressions of impressions of impressions. When we're doing language acquisition as children, we're listening to our parents. If I grew up in Chicago, I wouldn't have that nasality that my parents had being from the Philadelphia area. So as kids, we're doing this language acquisition. We're learning all these things. We're inculcating it. Yeah. And we're just doing an impression of our parents and the key people around you growing up.
Right.
So I always ask, what would you sound like? What would your voice be like if all of those regional factors weren't there, the parental factors weren't there? What would your voice actually be? Because your voice is your identity.
Oh. How do I sound like to you?
You sound like you're Romanian.
Bang! Is that a good
thing? Here's what I think is interesting about Europeans. And the Romanian people I've spoken to, your voice is very warm.
Okay, good.
It is very warm.
Huh.
And that is a wonderful, that's a gift, because when you are warm, when your voice is warm, it connects.
That's good.
Yeah. And there was some really interesting research about people who connect in romantic relationships. That beyond like the looks and the attraction, what they have found is somebody who says your name with warmth makes you connect to them even more.
It's true, actually.
Yeah. It's fascinating. So you find somebody, you're attracted to somebody who says your name, John, and you're like, huh? Yeah, because that's that thing. That's the power of voice.
Wow.
Yeah.
So insightful. I had no idea.
Yeah. We're just walking through life, not using our voices.
Not realizing the potential. You said only 34%?
38%.
38%?
And what I say is when I speak is I want you to reclaim that 62%.
Oh.
If you had I have to always go back to our body. Here we are. I work out 6-7 days a week. There, a lot of the peak performers you have on the show work out really probably regularly and taking peptides and doing all of these things. We're so body focused, but your voice, that is like the 50% partner in your business. And if you're not using it properly, and at least you're not investigating it, people who work out 2 hours at the gym, it's like, give me 15 minutes a day. Remember when I said about 5 yards? Give yourself the gift of 15 minutes a day of working on your voice.
Man. And I would say that this speech impediment that you had growing up, do you ever grieve the childhood that this speech impediment stole from you? Do you ever feel like, man, if I didn't have that? Or you actually are quite on the opposite?
I'm on the opposite.
Yeah, because you're like,
I'm one of these people, and it took me a long time to believe this, but everything happens for a reason. I don't know if I believe in destiny, but it certainly looks like it when I am a 5-year-old kid with a severe speech impediment who's doing impressions. And then here I am at 63 speaking about that moment and speaking about the human voice and doing these speeches and people coming up to me and going, I never even think about my voice.
Yeah.
I can't believe to me, it's like this is like a full circle thing. So I don't grieve it. I grieve a lot of other things.
Such as?
Like I have to go back to, I had a very abusive father, physically abusive. And it was very tough. It was very tough growing up under something like that. My dad was a World War II veteran. I think he was 40 plus when I was born. He would have he punched me in the face one time, like knocked me off of a chair. He used to beat my brothers and I with a belt. And it was just sucked. He had a very short fuse. He was a brutal guy. I mean, cruel. He was literally cruel. And we, in our row home in the back, you had a very narrow driveway that he would park his truck in. And I left my bicycle in the driveway and he ran it over. He just ran it over. And I was like, Michael, that'll fucking teach you not to leave it in the fucking driveway. And all of my other friends' dads were not like this, and my parents fought all the time. They hated each other. And the cops were at our house a lot, especially on the weekends,
Because he would drink Friday nights.
It wasn't even the drinking.
He wasn't
a heavy, he drank, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't that. It's that they were at each other. Because on the weekends they were, like he was during the week, he was in the garage working on the mowers. We had a weekend landscaping business, or he'd be bowling or whatever he did. But man, like, God, I remember the cops being there and it was embarrassing. The cops are in your neighborhood. We weren't the only ones. There was a time when I think domestic abuse was just more common.
Yeah, back then, I think.
Yeah, but it was just like, oh God, and they would really go at it. It was just distracting.
Yeah. If you think like everything happens for a reason, what do you think the reason for that was?
Yeah, I have to deal with that. And I listened to Louise Hay, and she said something that was really. She said, you pick your parents.
You pick your parents.
You pick your parents to deal with what you need to deal with in this lifetime. And when you think of it that way, that helps me to give me a sense, well, I don't know why I picked I don't know why I picked the poor, why that is, but maybe that's what's given me the desire to be successful, to help other people, to grow beyond these limitations and these challenges,
And maybe that's what made you a great husband.
I've been divorced twice. I don't know if I would. I'm much better now.
This is your third marriage?
Yeah, but
three times the charm.
Yeah, third time's the charm.
Okay.
But my they had a very contentious, obviously physically abusive relationship. I never had that with either of my spouses, and my whole goal is, if you know me at all, I'm extremely communicative. So if the matchup is bad, the matchup is bad for whatever reasons. There's other things I've had to deal with. So, and relationships are tough. I don't think anyone. I am in awe of happy marriages that go 30, 40, 50, 60 years. And I see that, and I see that they still have passion for each other. That is just an amazing thing, because unfortunately that's the exception. That is not the rule.
Yeah, it's so true. How long has it been since you guys were?
So we've been together 9 years, but I made sure not to get married this time. So that makes it go a little smooth.
So your current lady is not your wife? You
No,
guys
she's
are
not
just
we're not legal. I mean, we're what do they call that when you've been together more than 7 years? Common law.
common law,
We
yeah?
are common law. So,
Wow.
yeah, and I think and I have to say, I think sometimes getting married
Pressure?
it does. I think it puts undue pressure. I'm sure you're getting a lot of mail on that. But yeah, and we're not having kids, and we're in a much better, I think we're in a much better place. I know she would like to get married. I know that means something, and I know that means something in the eyes of society, and that means something in the eyes of family, and I get that, and I get that.
And?
So maybe at 10 years we'll get married. So
Uh,
after a
which is
decade,
next year?
yeah, next year.
I
And
mean,
and also she runs a business and I'm on the road, and it is a terrible excuse. Um, because, but it's like, okay, let's plan a wedding and figure out how that'll fit into our schedule, and here we are we're going to Ireland for a friend's wedding.
so you make time for other people's weddings.
Exactly. Yeah. And they met after we did. So, and that's happened like 4 or 5 times. So I'm feeling the pressure.
Yeah. I think you should.
Yeah, I think
you
so.
should.
I think so.
Because you're not, 18 years old
No.
or 20.
Yeah.
I think
In
you
my
could
mind,
get
I'm
married.
19 forever.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, that's adorable.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, did you notice that a lot of actors, a lot of successful actors have daddy issues? Did you notice that?
In what? Well, I think that's
There's a daddy issue thing going on that most have in common.
I think it was Howard Stern who said in his book, because he's interviewed hundreds of actors, hundreds and hundreds, and most of them come from a broken home, divorce. My home wasn't broken, but it might as well been, because they were essentially married but divorced. They couldn't stand each other. So,
Exactly.
and I was craving affirmation at 5 years old. I wanted to be an actor at 5.
Already.
Yeah, I wanted to, you want to escape your home life, and you want to be in a situation where you can play and be in front of adults who affirm you, and you want to be somebody else. And I think that's one of the reasons I did impressions. I could instantly become somebody else. I
Escape.
didn't have to be in a play,
Dang.
a first grade or second grade play. I could instantly become someone else.
Dang. Oof. To
Yeah.
escape all that.
I'll tell you, I mean, I don't do it as much, but Austin Powers, I would do an event, like a swinging 60s event, you know what I mean? And it'd be like, they want you 3 hours walking around as Austin Powers, and then at the end, like roast everybody or something. And those 3 hours when you're literally thinking as someone else, or it could be Trump or you are in somebody else's headspace. You're in character for that long. 3 hours is a long time, but it's great. Because when it's all over, it's like, oh, I'm back to me now. To be walking around in somebody else's physicality, baby. Yeah.
Wow.
And then you have to drop it and be yourself and drive home.
Dang.
Or go back to the hotel room where you're by yourself.
Dang. That's impressive. I love how entertaining you are.
Oh, that's my thing.
Insightful, entertaining. It's just kicking knowledge.
And I read a lot of
wisdom, and
books.
You read, oh my goodness. And you're so.
That was my dyslexia. I had dyslexia also.
That
And
too?
ADHD.
Oh, poor
So
thing.
I was like a hodgepodge of I drove teachers crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's just.
So you've overcome all of those?
Yeah. Yeah. But the ADHD now is my superpower.
How is that?
Because I'm 63 and people think I'm 48, because I have so much energy. I just wake up in the morning at 5 a.m. and I'm ready to go. And it hasn't dropped off. I'm still the same way. You can see how
Yeah.
animated
Dang.
I am. So now those chemicals which made it impossible for me to focus as a kid and drove teachers and parents and all that stuff crazy. Now I can use that for myself. I've trained myself to be much more focused. I've read every book on brain health and brain chemistry, read Limitless and Atomic Habits, and I love productivity and efficiency, and I'm always reading something. And I had to figure out, because of my dyslexia, I had to figure out a way to read because I couldn't read for years. I had horrible retention. So I figured out a system that would work for me. And every time I read a book, something like that. Did you read Limitless by Jim Quick by any chance?
Yeah,
It's
I
an
think I
incredible
did.
book. But he had a system for reading because he had an issue.
The Marine guy? Is that the Marine guy?
No.
That's
He fell and had a brain injury, and he kind of had to retrain his brain. Yeah. But are you talking about?
I think I'm talking about the Marine guy who has he's talking about the one with a lot of abs and
Yeah, Jocko,
No.
David Goggins.
Goggins.
Yeah, Goggins is
I think-
amazing.
what
He's
was
been a
his
huge
book?
help.
What was his book with the
His
first one?
book, not Unlimited, but
Something
You Can't
to-
Hurt Me or
Oh,
something.
You Can't Hurt Me. Yes,
Yeah.
that's the one. Okay.
Yeah, he's helped me a lot. And going
Ah.
back to that 5-yard thing, when here's a guy who runs ultra marathons. I mean, not just runs a marathon and then runs a marathon, but our brain wants comfort for us. Our brain wants us not to be in pain. Our brain wants us to be eating fat and happy. That's what our brain wants. And to learn, you can run a marathon, run 26 miles, and you still have 40% of your energy
That's
left.
crazy. Actually, no, Navy SEAL. Correction.
Yeah.
Huge
He was-
difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That we
There
have
is-
that
we have
much.
that
We
much
have
more.
that much more to
we
give
think-
ourselves.
Yeah.
We always want to quit. We always want to go, oh my God, I did 10 push-ups. Well, guess what? You can actually do 50 more, but because it just sounds so counter to our brain, and then in a business like I'm in, where you're constantly looking for work, or you're creating, or you're doing this stuff. And I was so happy that, for me, shooting that video, giving myself 5 additional yards, it changed my life.
That's
It changed
that extra.
everything.
Yeah. Because you would have never gotten viral.
I
if you
never
didn't do
yeah. And it's those little things. And that's why, I'm so into this,
that.
the group that we're in, that one group. I'm sure you've mentioned, you had Mike on the show, but here's so many peak performers in so many different areas. And everybody is going that 5 additional yards, or giving that 40 additional percent. And it is amazing to me, because one of the things I say when I speak is, it is a moral imperative to meet your full potential,
Yeah.
because
You
you're
owe
going
it
to
to
help
yourself.
somebody else.
Mm.
And if you're being lazy and you're not giving 100%, and you're cheating not only yourself, but you're cheating somebody else. Maybe somebody's not even alive yet. You know what I mean? But you're going to help somebody. And that's
true.
important in a world that we're in right now, where so many people want to succeed, and so many people are disadvantaged, not because of our own making, but they can hear something, it can change somebody. I mean, I came from nothing. When I tell you I came from nothing, in the 70s, my dad got really badly injured at work, and he was laid up for 6 months. And we ran out of food. We didn't have anything to eat until he went back to work at the plant. He worked in a steel plant, and that's how he got injured. 9th grade education, 35 plus years at this plant, was injured in the 70s. And, one of the things my dad was a very tough guy, was abusive, but he worked really hard.
Poor guy.
He got up every day. Even when his back was not fully healed, he went back to work. And he put food on the table. And I have to be grateful for that, because I wouldn't be here. And he instilled in me an ironclad work ethic to get out of my neighborhood and to go beyond our house and do something bigger. And I did. I'm sorry he wasn't around to see all the
He
press and all
passed.
the interviews,
He
and
passed.
he passed at 90, yeah. But he did I was working as a professional actor then, and he did get to see me in a play and performing, and he came up to New York when I was living there and see the shows up there. But the amazing success of being on all those shows and being on the cover of Los Angeles Magazine and being on the Today Show in Australia 12 times, he didn't get to see that. But
World War II, all the injuries.
oh, he saw some shit. Yeah, his photos. He had a photo of his platoon. It was the Red Arrow, and it was one of these photos. It was a big rectangle. When the war was over, it was like 12 guys. Everybody. They lost so many people. And he was not a CB, but he was with the CBs, and he landed first. And they were the guys who came in and built the runways and did all the infrastructure work to set up a base. And he was wounded multiple times. And they didn't send him back. They were out of men. This is the end of the war. This is nearing the end of the war, and they were literally out of men. So if you get patched up and back, you went back. You get injured, you get wounded now, you go home. He did not go home. And he was out there for a long time, and he's in Papua New Guinea and all these different islands and horror stories. And I interviewed him on his deathbed.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. He was 2 weeks away from dying. He had pancreatic cancer. So I got a friend's camera, and that was 90, and I interviewed him. And he said something that'll stick with me. When they were flown back home, they all went into LA because they were in the Pacific Theater, and they all got, and he was just bones. They were just all thin, and because they had been eating rations at this point for a very long time. They had no fresh food, and they were gotten to shower up, and they got new uniforms, and they were just put on trains. They had trains leaving LA. It was going all back east to Texas, just all these places. But he said, we're on these trains heading back east, and the trains were going through these towns, and the farmers were coming to them with buckets of eggs and butter and whatever they could bring. And they were just so grateful. And he said, see guys just cracking eggs, eating the eggs, because they hadn't had fresh food in months and months, of some of them, for years. And it was just unbelievable. It was beautiful that these guys are bringing out all this, raw food to them to eat. And I thought, wow, what a moment in history. But how brutal it was for them to get to that place, and now they're coming across the country, and it's just the farmers just want to give them food and make them feel welcome, and it really stuck with me. That story, because I'll never experience anything like that, and I wasn't ever shot at or any of the things that he went through. I wasn't starved. I wasn't beaten. So to me, it is. I've resolved all my issues with my father. It would have been nice if he wasn't so cruel and mean.
But I think it kind of explains why, poor guy.
Yeah, he went through
He was
some horrible stuff.
So many damaging things that
Yeah.
happened to him.
Yeah. So I'm reading The Courage to be Disliked.
How is it? Is it good?
It's really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Courage to be Disliked.
Courage to
By?
be Disliked. It's by two Japanese guys, but it's based on his name was Adlerian therapy. He was friends with Freud and Carl Jung. So, but he's not known. Adler isn't known. His is totally different. It's literally the opposite of Freudian therapy.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So it's and it kind of right in line with more with accountability.
Okay, I gotta check it out.
Yeah. And you know what? One chapter of the book is called There's No Such Thing as Trauma. And I'm reading that and I'm like, oh, that's my whole life. Hold on. That's
Wow.
my brand.
What do you mean there's no such thing? Huh?
Yeah. And it's
I guess
really
it's,
like, I was like, wow. It really, really
depends how you
opened my
look at it.
eyes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Well, I haven't asked you anything about the man on stage, the the famous guy that we see. What is scarier, bombing on stage or being completely seen as yourself?
I would say, that's a great question because I always tell people to go bomb on stage.
You
Oh,
do?
yeah. People are like, I want to do stand up, but I'm scared. I say, go and bomb. Go with the intention of bombing. You'll have control, you know?
Interesting,
Yeah.
huh?
Go and bomb. Go up there and say, and you may get a laugh. You may be shocked, but go in there with the intention to bomb. Tell the worst jokes. Tell dad jokes. You know,
Because that'll make you feel.
yeah, go up. It's not as bad as you think.
How did your speech go?
Oh, my speech went great.
You what?
My speech went great, but
I knew
it's
it would.
unfair to. I mean, like I've been doing this. I've been a professional performer since like 1986, 1987. But it is different. It is different. It is not a performance. So that part's weird.
Okay. The public
And
speaking.
watching like like when you do comedy, like people breaking into a voice and an impression, like when you're giving information, people are like this. You're like, no one's laughing. So it's getting over that not speaking, but being yourself on stage, it's tougher. It's far tougher because my entire career has been be somebody else. So to be up on stage as John Di Domenico, giving you my actual thoughts. Here's what I think about the voice, and here's what here's my opinion on this. It's far tougher.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Hmm. Have you actually? These are questions from my Instagram followers.
Oh, that's great.
Have you?
Maybe they'll follow me.
Yeah, you guys need to follow John as well. And what would be your?
I'm stuck at the Johnny D show. I'm stuck at 20,400, whatever it is. 24. What is it? I don't know. 20,000.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, definitely
Yeah.
Johnny D show.
The Johnny D show.
Johnny
Yep.
D show.
Yep.
On Instagram.
THE Johnny, and that's it's H and two N's.
All
The
right.
Johnny D show.
Perfect. The dark side of being funny. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
People assume comedians are the happiest people in the room. Do you
No.
think comedians are actually some of the saddest?
I think sad, angry. When I used to do stand up, this is what I realized doing stand up. I wasn't a stand up. I'm more of a comedian who likes. I'm more of a performer because when I met the really good stand up, I mean, these guys this is all they do. They are stand up comedians. And I was on the road with these guys and they're miserable. I don't know if they're sad, but they're just miserable people.
Ooh.
And I mean, I remember going out. This is recently when I had someone I knew casually who was a stand-up comedian. We went to lunch, and it was just, it was amazing how miserable he was and unhappy. And then when he got on stage, he killed. He
Really?
killed. Yeah.
Wow.
But I find that people who also do comedy and are trained in improv or acting, it's different because we crave. So I want the adulation and the affirmation from the audience, but I also like rehearsing with other people, like being around other performers. And it took me a while to realize that. So when I do stand up, when I do, comedy here, a lot of the time, it's local. But a lot of the time, halfway through, I'll just go into my whole Trump impression, and then I get to hide behind the character,
Which is
makes it so much easier.
so much easier.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because you're really being, really good stand-up comedians are themselves. That's it. And if the audience doesn't like you, then they don't like you. When you're a stand-up.
Yeah, like Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle's amazing. He's super gifted. I mean, He can, you don't even realize he's doing stand-up.
Comic genius.
Comic genius to the point where he can do a 90-minute set and then tie it up with a callback from literally the first thing that he said.
My God.
And then he'll do another set 2 nights later. It'll be totally different. And you're like, this guy's a genius.
How the heck is he coming up with all this and then tie it with a bow
Tie
at
it
the end
all
and just
together.
it's like,
And
come
it has
on.
meaning and it has gravitas, and he's in that mold of Richard Pryor. But I think Dave Chappelle is literally deeper than Richard Pryor. When you
Yeah.
hear what he has to say, it is deep. Not that Richard Pryor wasn't; he was truly amazing. But Dave Chappelle, it's like this guy. He
Yeah.
puts this stuff out, and he's a great actor too. I remember seeing him in A Star Is Born, and I thought, oh, he can act.
He
He's
can
got
also
that
act.
depth.
Very interesting. Yeah. If you had 5 minutes with every CEO in America, what's the first communication habit you'd tell them to stop immediately?
Stop immediately. That it's going back to something you read in my thing. It's not so much the words. It's not what you're saying. It's how you say it.
So the
One
voice.
of the reasons Steve Jobs was so effective,
Mhm.
it was how he said it. He had a passion for everything that came out about the iPhone. You know, he knew the technology, and he did say the right words. He was probably one of the rare combinations that said it, but said it with passion. And I think so many, and I've seen so many CEOs because I've worked those meetings. I worked huge national sales meetings, and a lot of them are just, they're so fixated on the prompter and reading the copy when it has to be about that connection. And when I see a CEO, I did a meeting this year, I won't say the company, but the new president of the company, CEO is the summer guy, the president, he was so good. He was so good. He took the stage, and before he spoke, because that's another thing where they have to speak immediately.
Yeah.
But when you can walk on stage and own the stage and be comfortable in front of your 15 to 2,000 people at that meeting, that communicates so much. I was backstage watching this guy on the monitor and going, this guy's good. He's good. He didn't rush anything. He was totally in his element. He's the boss. And that's amazing.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's not just a matter of what you say, it's how you say it, how you walk it,
Yeah.
how you own it.
There's a famous Harvard study, and it's been contested. I actually was speaking to another speaker about this, but famous study that says the words are 7% of what people are receiving. It is the voice. It is the movement. It is the confidence on stage. You are communicating. You know, when someone's on stage in a live audience like that, when we speak, what is voice? It is breath. It's traveling over your larynx. It is the words. But what you're doing beyond speaking through the vocal mask, if you're trained correctly, it is the frequency your voice is at. And that is going out into the audience. And that's what is connecting. And you can see 15, 2,000, 3,000 people like this. They're like this. And it's the CEO, or it's Tony Robbins, or it's Mike C. Rock, or whoever it is. When that goes out, that frequency goes out and it is received, that's when you have an audience. You know?
How do you prepare for that? Like, how do you have that? How can you manage that energy? How do you know how to
That
send
goes
and
back
what?
to everything I speak about. It
earlier.
is listening to your own voice. It is recording your own voice. It is finding someone's voice that you like. Someone's voice who's in your range, or someone you respond to. Could be a male or a female. And you're like, I really like his voice. What is he doing? What is he doing with his voice? Is his voice deeper? Do I need to lower my voice like I did? What can I do? And so much of going back to what I said about we're on autopilot. Stop writing texts.
Mm.
Voice record your text. Leave a message with your voice. Send that. It automatically transcribes. So they're going to get a written version anyway, but then listen. What I find most effective for people is record your phone calls with permission. I don't want any legality. But when you're on a call for 15, 20, 30 minutes, you will hear your voice unvarnished. And you can learn so much more about your voice. Just every day, listen to your voice. Phone calls are the best because you're comfortable and it may be a business call and you're not comfortable.
Mm.
But hearing how your voice sounds day in and day out, because people are like, oh, I'll listen to it. Okay, great. How many times you listen this week? Once. Okay, well, that's not going to work.
So you gotta
You have to
be
do it all
consistent.
the time. That's just going to bridge the gap. My voice could be a little deeper here. I could push my voice a little more here. Are you a throat talker? I have to assess everybody who wants coaching, but are you a throat talker? Are you back
Mm.
here? Are you more like this when you talk and, that kind of thing?
Mhm.
But I try to get people immediately to use your vocal mask to speak. Your head is your best amplifier of your voice
Mm.
along with your chest, but it's really coming here. The sound's going out here.
Hey, wow. Do you do coach?
Yes.
You also coach
Yeah.
people? Oh, very
Coach people
nice.
online and,
And that they can find you on your website
Yep.
for
Find
this?
me on the website, the johnnydshow.com or on Instagram.
Okay, and they
Yeah.
can get
And there's a
some coaching.
10-step process.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. Wow.
But they have a lot of work on their own. And I don't want to make this sound easy. You have to do things on your own. There's only so much I can do when we're together. It is you. It's great to have a trainer. What does a trainer do when you're at the gym? Make sure your form is right. I want to make sure your form is right. So during the week, you can do these things and listen to your own voice and hear where you're at and choose that person you'd like to sound like. It's not an impression. You're just modeling your voice on them. Yeah.
Beautiful. Another question that I know a lot of people want to learn more about, and everybody's interested in AI now.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think AI do you think it's made communication better, or are we outsourcing our humanity?
We're outsourcing our voice. I know that much because AI is spending millions and millions of dollars on AI voices. You hear them all the time. You hear them on Facebook. You hear them on LinkedIn. You hear them on Instagram. And I did some research and they are using real linguists. They're using real psychologists. They're using all of these real people to develop better AI voices that do what? That relate, that connect, that persuade, that influence, right? They're spending millions on that. And you have that already in your throat. You have a Ferrari in your throat and you're driving it like a Ford Fiesta.
No offense to the Ford
Right,
company.
yeah, I love Ford, but you know what I mean? You have the most incredible thing that they're trying to capture. You already have. They're taking this technology and they're learning where to extend one word, where to be a little deeper, where to be a little more intense. All these things that you can already do in your communications, they're making an artificial version of. And
Wow.
this is why what I save this to the last in my keynote because this is incredibly important. They're trying to steal your voice. They're trying to steal your image. And this is everybody. You have this amazing capacity. That's why you have to have command and control of your voice. Don't let AI steal it. And my thing when I talk about the AI section is you need to upgrade your voice. Going back to the fact that you're still speaking with your 25-year-old voice. which you really never hear. It is time for an upgrade. It is time for John 2.0 or John 3.0 in my case, because, this is what I do. But the overwhelming majority of people have done nothing with their voice. But AI is improving those voices every week. They're taking every piece of information they're learning. These scientists are learning, and they're applying it to these voices. And they're getting more sophisticated all the time. Are you doing that? Are you using your voice to its fullest extent? Because this AI voice you're hearing on LinkedIn is, I want people to wake up about AI beyond it stealing your job. It's going to take a lot of other things.
Yeah. Wow. My goodness. That is... So you're not really a big fan, huh?
Oh, no, I use it every day. And the reason is...
It just won't take your voice, though.
Right. Oh, no, I've lost commercials to it. I've lost Trump voiceover commercials, which I used to do all the time. I've lost to AI. But here's the thing. For us as entrepreneurs, as business people, to be able to task Claude Cowork with searching for new clients, or how about this, or I want to do the meeting for Domino's Pizza next year, 5,000 franchise owner. Who's the person that I need to talk to at the production company? Who's the person I need to talk to at Domino's corporate? That just goes out and does that.
Interesting. Oof.
So you can be sleeping and AI is building your business. I take my keynote and I write it, and every word, and I run it through Claude, not to change it, but I want to make sure there's no factual errors. I quote a lot of statistics. I want to make sure they're right. I want to make sure the grammar's right. I want to make sure I'm not jumping around, or I put an older version in, and it was like, structurally this should be here, and structurally this should be. Oh, that's right. That's So it's those type of things.
Yeah. To a point. I mean,
Yeah, to a point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
Anything that can help you as an entrepreneur, as a solo business person, or a person, 2-3 people in the office, that can keep you on track and keep you focused on the creative admin shit. I mean, I was reading a statistic today about the fact that if you run a small business, overwhelming majority of your time is spent running the business. You are not working on the business, you're stuck in the business.
That's true.
Payroll and taxes and this thing and that thing, and paying your vendors and you getting paid.
Yeah, so it just gotta figure it out. I wish there was a way we could limit it to certain things.
Oh, yeah.
To only make it useful, but...
Right. And it could be a bubble. Some of these companies could collapse in the next few months.
Yeah, ChatGPT is already losing a lot of...
Right.
It's going down. What's something you've never admitted publicly because you're afraid people would look at you differently?
I don't know. I'm pretty open.
Yeah.
I think I'm an open book when it comes to, you know what I mean? I've
got that feeling too.
Yeah, I've had failed marriages, I've screwed things up, I've lost money, you know what I mean? It's
Is there a compliment you spent your entire life chasing?
You know what? One of the best compliments I get, and this means the world to me. I'll come up with an idea for a Trump video, not as much as I used to, because I want to, whatever I'm going to write, I want it to have obviously a beginning, middle, and an end, but I want it to be insightful and funny and ironic and satirical. And I'll write these things, and I'll get into full makeup, which takes about an hour, and then set the lighting in the studio. I have a replica of the White House press room in my house.
Oh, nice.
So and I come out and I'll do this thing, and I'll write it and put it on the prompter, and then edit it and put the front and back on it and color correct it, and then put it up and you just send it out into the world. But when people write back and go, "Oh my God, you're a genius," or "This was brilliant," that means the world to me because
When they get it.
they get it. It's hit a spot with them, and it's such a nice compliment.
Oh, that's awesome. You get that a
Yeah.
lot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, can we play a quick rapid fire game
Yeah.
before we go?
Sure.
What's one sentence that changed your life?
I was studying Buddhism and it said you can change the way you think. And I was like, that's for me. Because I was very, from my childhood, very negative. My mom was very negative. My dad wasn't verbally negative. He was just physically negative. So it was
Yeah.
learning how to be a more positive person and change the way I think because you have that choice.
Yeah, you
You
can
know?
choose.
Catholic is being very, it's just so much guilt,
So you're a Buddhist.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Catholic Buddhist. I can't even shake my Catholicism, but I've instituted many of the Buddhist precepts into my life.
Interesting. Finish this. Confidence isn't
Thinking you're confident. It's being confident.
oof. What's the biggest misconception about public speaking?
The biggest misconception is everyone thinks they can do it. And everyone needs a coach. It is far harder than you realize. Even someone like me who has spent my entire life on stage.
It's hard to be a public speaker.
It's hard to be a public speaker. Yeah. It's, hard in the sense that if it's the very first time you want to be a speaker and you go out speaking and you think it's going to be one way, it's like stand up. You think it's going to be one way, but it's a totally different way.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, because you can't control what they're gonna
Right.
understand, how they're
Your
gonna feel.
task is to go on stage and give them information. Their task, sometimes, not all the time, is to be skeptical.
Oof. What insecurity still follows you on stage?
Oh, how much time do we have? Can we do a whole nother episode? Am I funny? Will this audience like me? All the things like, imposter syndrome pops up. Like, who am I to be on stage doing, even though I've done it like hundreds and hundreds of times, and that's when you have to get control. You have to get a hold of yourself. The same way I say, get command and control of your voice. You need to get command and control of your thoughts because our default mode as humans is negative.
True.
So it's, oh, get back here. It's almost like something, it's like a greased pig getting away from you. Get back here. You want to grab, come here. I've already done this a million times. I don't need your negativity. I know what I'm doing. I'm getting paid. They would be paying me if I didn't know what I'm doing.
True.
Yeah. But I have to remind you. You have to remind yourself sometimes.
Yes. Wow. What's the one thing every parent should never say to a child with a speech impediment?
Oh, wow. I can't understand you. Because if there's anybody who should be able to understand you, it's your parents.
What's something you wish people understood about speech impediment?
About speech impediment, that it is physical and it is neurological. So you need those speech therapists and you need people to walk you through it. I'm a big believer in coaching, and I wasn't for a long time. There are coaches for everything now, and some of them are charlatans.
True.
Yeah. But basically what a speech therapist is a coach. That's a coach. And when you find the right coach and you connect with the right coach, it could be everything from speech therapy to your business to pickleball. You know what I mean? You'll move faster through the process. And that's the beauty. Sometimes people think that people with speech impediments are just lazy, and they're not. They just haven't found the right coach. And one of the very first things that my therapist taught me was you have to hear yourself. It's literally what I say to people. You have to be able to, so when I speak, I give out earplugs.
Whoa.
Yeah. I give out earplugs so that doesn't, you want to be able to just turn all the other sound off and be able to focus on your voice. And when you do that, you're hearing through, you have to, it's your skull and your tissue. It's a little bit different, but you have to be able to at least hear that. It's like when you have a headset on and you start chewing gum and you drive yourself crazy. It's along those lines. You have to hear your own voice, and you have to practice hearing your own voice.
Which I'm just realizing now. I've been saying the word impediment incorrectly the whole episode.
No,
I had a straight my
you have a speech impediment.
I know, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, I kept saying impediment.
Oh, impediment. But I think that's I think that's
accent.
I think it might be it's an accent, but I think that's a European thing. I think you're saying the way British people say it.
Yeah, but that's like we're
when
American.
British people say these things, there's little tiny changes in their voice.
That's the first language I learned. The British English.
Oh, the British English. Beautiful.
Yeah. And then I met a lot of the army folks, and that's how I learned American English, which is why I cuss a lot.
Yeah. You cuss a lot. One thing about British, I love British accent because it really helps me. I'll speak an entire day with a London accent because it helps me better enunciate certain words. So, and the biggest difference between American English and British English is the intervotalic T. Yes. Because Americans will say butter. So true. It's a D, but British people say butter. Butter. So, and we say city, and it comes out as a D, but it's actually city. So it's the intervotalic T. Two vowels on either side of a T in America become a D, and in Britain, it's a positive T. It's a little tiny thing.
I love it. You guys are getting so much greatness here. Oh my God.
If I could adopt any accent and speak in it all the time, it would just be a British accent.
I think you do like 200 of them, right?
Yeah, I do a lot of impressions. A lot of people are dead now, so they don't really know who a lot of these people are.
Well, I'm sure somebody knows something.
Yeah, somebody, 75-year-old, 90-year-old audiences.
What's the best advice you've ever ignored?
I was fascinated by Starbucks.
Starbucks.
I know it sounds crazy. I was like, this is great. I love Starbucks. When they first opened, it was a place I could go and work. And my first wife used to say to me, you should buy stock in that. You talk about them all the time. Oh, yeah, I guess I should. This is when you go on E-Trade or something. Or very early on when they were first coming to New York and Philadelphia. I was just, this place is great. I can hang out. Because in New York, there was no place to hang out. You couldn't go to a diner. They'd kick you out. But I could hang out in Starbucks and just work. You should buy stock in it. If I bought stock in it when my first wife, Donna, told me to, I would have made a fortune. I think the stock is split 16, 20 times. So that was something I know.
That is.
Yeah, that was like, I was kicking myself on that one.
Yeah. So I guess whenever you really like a company, maybe that's.
Yeah, because they were firing on all cylinders. And then I read Howard Schultz's book and I was like, oh, this guy was poor and he had a vision and he was a clear channel. And I was like, wow. That was, sometimes when somebody behind a company like Steve Jobs is a clear channel, they were just a clear channel.
Yeah.
They're the people to get behind.
And what's one thing you hope people remember about you that has nothing to do with comedy?
That I was a good person, that I helped people, that I contributed, that I was here to, if you needed help, I gave help. Because what are we all here for? We're all here to support each other and lift each other up. it's so easy to tear people down, but it is so fulfilling to lift somebody up.
That's amazing. It is so true. Is there a question you wish I had asked that I haven't?
No, we had such an amazing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
you've
it.
covered so much.
You're an amazing guest.
Oh,
I
thank
am
you.
blown away. It's like, oh my gosh, why is it? It's like always, always getting better and better by the day. Wow, I'm just amazing. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you
And
for
again, you
having me.
guys follow him, follow Johnny at the Johnny D Show on
Yep.
Instagram. You're also on Facebook.
Facebook. I think it's John Di Domenico on Facebook, but you'll find me. I'm one of the only ones. But if you land on my homepage, just thejohnnydshow.com, it'll take you to all those places. LinkedIn,
Okay,
you
so
know,
they can go.
every place where we work, and everything's a little different. My comedy on TikTok's a little different than my stuff on Instagram. The things on LinkedIn are totally different. It's more about hosting and speaking.
Of course. Sounds
I like to give each audience
that's-
something different.
That's the smart way to do it. Sounds like we have a good marketing team. That's good. I love it. So we usually we're doing this. This is a ritual that we started this year where we read the question that was addressed in a previous episode. Our previous guest yesterday was David Goldrake, and his question will be read right now by John.
Wow, this is an honor. David, thank you for writing these questions. I'm so blown away. Okay. What truth about yourself that you were uncomfortable with have you discovered, made peace with, and have changed the way you live? It was decades and decades of being negative about myself. Not being able to do things, and where I came from, and just that I can't do it. And in the face of many successes, it was always the negative thing, and choosing to have oh, I pushed it away. I was one of those people, when I was given the opportunity to think about something, an outcome, I always chose the negative outcome. And you would meet me and think, oh, he's such a positive guy. He's so upbeat. But on the inside, I was that negative, the very negative person. Like, this will never work. This is a freaking mess. I don't believe to, and I'm going to get screwed. I'm going to get screwed. This whole thing, that kind of, whatever it was a negative outcome. And learning that you can choose your thoughts. And if you choose your thoughts, why wouldn't you choose the positive outcome? Because in the end, whatever the situation is, usually works out in your favor. It's never, ever as bad as these catastrophic ways you can think about it. I mean, you can destroy yourself. So that was very uncomfortable that I carried that around, and accepting, thinking, not in a crazy way, like I'm going to win $1 million, but thinking that it's going to be a positive outcome. It takes so much stress off of you. It takes so much worry off of you. Whatever it is, relationship wise, business wise, spiritually, it choosing to have a positive thought about it puts positive energy out, and that positive energy is returned.
Yeah. I love it. What a brilliant answer, and what a brilliant question, David. David Goldrake's
Thank you, David.
question.
That's a good one.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it has changed my life.
Wow. So
and this guy knows about life-changing stuff.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to watch his episode, and I'm sure he's going to enjoy yours.
I'm going to watch his.
And then whenever you get a moment to write the next, and I'm not going to mention who the next guest is, if you don't mind writing his question. So we will be tuning in with John's question on our next episode for our next guest to answer John's question. Well, thank you so much for coming, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
being
Thanks for
such an
having me.
amazing guest. Thank you.